The pages of this book invite us to undertake the deepest journey a human being can embark on, moving from fear to love and from thought to the vision of the soul. This work is a practical guide to remind us who we truly are and how to co-create a life guided by the heart. Today, Maria Magdalena Eleonora and Bridgitte Jackson-Buckley will talk about that inner voice, about vision, about what it means to be awake in a world that still fears love. Today, I welcome to the Mind Sherpa family a woman whose voice has crossed the boundaries of the rational mind to bring us a message from another level of consciousness. She is the esteemed Bridgitte Jackson-Buckley, the accomplished author of the profound work, The Visioneers Handbook. A truly remarkable book that has been blessed by the revered Ray Collective and her own guiding higher self.
Hello, I am Eleonora from the Mind Sherpa, and today we are very happy because I'm here with our new author, Bridgitte Jackson-Buckley, and she is the author of the Visioneers Handbook. And we're going to talk all about this new book that is coming this month, still this month, to change people's life. Bridgitte, welcome to Mind Sherpa.
Thank you, Eleonora. I'm so excited to be here with you. Thank you so very much. Thank you.
So before we dive in on the book and in the content of the book, let's get to know you a little bit. And I like to ask this question. How has been your spiritual evolution? How you end up writing a channel book?
Okay, so how did my spiritual evolution come about? Well, it was years in the making. It definitely was not something that took place overnight. And I say at the forefront of the evolutionary process was my sincere intention. I've always had like this, well, not always, but for a really long time, I've had this yearning to know, this wanting to know more, this wanting to connect with the presence. And for so many years, I did not know what was underneath the yearning to know. So close to 2 decades ago, I started meditating because we had a really difficult experience in our family, my husband and I stepped onto the spiritual path at that time before I even knew there was a spiritual path or what it was or what it would look like for me. I was struggling, and meditation and journaling helped a lot. And I read a lot of spiritually themed books and psychology books and self-help along those lines to just help me because I was just suffering. We were just having so many challenges in our life, and there was just so much fear coming up. So I just continued throughout the years of meditating and going inward, looking at myself, trying to look at what was underneath, the subconscious, the shadow aspect of what was actually creating my life. And after a long period of time, I stumbled upon, and nobody really stumbles upon, but it felt like I stumbled upon A Course in Miracles. And that contributed significantly to my evolutionary process. So it was a long time in the making, but I would say it was definitely a deep and sincere wanting to know more, wanting to know the truth.
Yes, and there is a lot of misperception about becoming spiritual. On the Matrix, that's what I talk about, the regular life, people that live in their 48 hours work. There is a misperception of when you become spiritual, you need to give up everything. And that's way far from the truth. Actually, my view about becoming spiritual is integrating the spirituality so you can live better this physical experience.
Mm-hmm.
How you see that point?
Well, I actually agree, and that dovetails on your previous question of how I came to channel, because it was in the letting go of the thought forms, the habits, the ways of viewing the world and interacting the world, just the way of seeing the world, as I continually kind of chipped at that and really looked at my view of the world and like how I saw myself in it. A Course in Miracles helped me to let go of so much that I was holding on to that was keeping me stuck, like where I no longer wanted to be. And it brought to my attention how I was sabotaging myself. And so as I went through, well, I still practice A Course in Miracles, but as I went through the mind clarification process, I did experience this, losing things, so to speak. My interests changed. Things that I wanted to do were no longer the same. My relationships started to change, like the geographical place where I was, like I no longer felt resonant with it. There was a lot of change, and there was a period where I felt like I was kind of drifting in the middle of the ocean and could no longer see the shore. And I was like, what is happening? I'm losing so much, but you're not really losing anything other than what you were attached to from the egoic perspective. The ego identity that I held onto, that, like I said, kept me in these conditions that felt so unfavorable and challenging. So as I started to let go more and more of that, and it's an ongoing process, it created space in me for more stillness, more peace, and my connection to the divine, to my spirit guides. I would say it amplified, like it opened up, because I was already connecting with my higher self. When I wrote my first book and when I went into meditation and started just writing down what came through. But about, I'd say like maybe 5-6 years ago, like a different set of guides made themselves known to me. And that was because you could refer to it as my light came on. Like I had cleared away enough. I had let go of enough for more guidance to come through. And so that's when I started moving into channeling. My guides and teachers were more directive in what they were saying, and that eventually led to the Akashic Records and to channeling with the energies coming through me telepathically. But it was nothing that I ever intended. That was truly the evolutionary process at work.
Yes, and I can tell you, you that is watching, that when you go in your spiritual path, sometimes you need to go through the shadow work, because you really need to let go of all thoughts, emotions, and beliefs that are unloving, that are creating, actually, that are assisting you to miscreate. That means you're always creating, but you create things that you don't want. When you go through that process, when you start, you immediately can already notice more peace. And in the end, you will always gain. Many people that became spiritual, even myself, I can see that I am happier. Things works better for me. I attract more people that are in line with what I want. So actually, you are only letting go of things that doesn't serve you. And that leads us to the Visioneers book. You don't need to do that path, to walk in your path alone. There is many informations out there. And the new book of Bridgitte is one of those important tools that you can use to really guide you on your path. What led you to write the Visioneers Handbook?
Well, it is my first fully channeled book. It was a collaborative channeled book for my higher self and my guides and teachers, the Raw Collective. I want to say I didn't choose to do it. Like I had a dream. So much comes through for me in my dream state. So I pay avid attention to my dreams. And I saw a book cover, and on the front of it, it said the Visioneers Handbook. And so I woke up and I was like, oh, okay. I guess that's going to be the next book. But I wasn't writing a book. The only thing that I was doing was every day I sat down and I connected with my guides and teachers, and I typed up what came through because it became too difficult to read what came through writing. So I was typing it, but I had no intentions of writing a book around that, but oddly enough, like my stepfather, who passed away 2 years ago this month, who did not even read my first book, The Gift of Crisis, over a period of time, he just kept asking me, like, what book are you working on? What book are you, when are you going to write your next book? He just kept asking me. And then I think it was like maybe, it was August of 2022. We were on our way home from a trip, and he was so incessant about it. He was like, when are you going to write this book? And then when I got home, I was like, oh my gosh, my guides are talking through him. That's why it caught my attention, because he was the least likely person to be. I mean, of course, he was proud of the work that I did. But like I said, he didn't even read the book. So I was like, why does he keep asking me about this? But it caught my attention. And so finally I was like, oh my gosh, my guides and teachers want to channel a book through me. And it was like, ding, ding, ding. So then I connected with them to just like, did I perceive this correctly? And I just got like yeses and, everything. And so then I set the intention to sit down with them for a specific amount of time, like every day, and bring through a message for them. But at the time, like when I was channeling this book, like even though I was studying A Course in Miracles, of course, fear came up. No one really knew that I was into channeled material because I would just watch it here by myself, or the two communities that I'm in, Tina Spalding's Channeling Jesus and Ananda community, and Carol Morgan's Zena Allen community, which are both based upon A Course in Miracles and channeled information coming through. I was kind of like on the down low about it. So to channel a book, I was pretty scared, but I trust my guides and teachers. So I sat down every day and I typed it. And sometimes I would sit at the computer and it would take me about 10, 15 minutes to just calm myself down, to get to a place of trust and surrender, that I could be a clear conduit and that I could actually channel it. Like I wasn't just making up. There was all this stuff going on. So I did it, I can't remember at this point. It was either like 30 days or 60 days. I can't remember because it was a couple of years ago. But I did it every single day and just, got myself into a place of trust with it. So it was definitely a journey for me. And I was living what they were talking about. Like so much of my life has been, the message that comes through in the book, like what it means to be a visioneer, what it means to be like on the leading edge of creating the new, like this new earth that we are creating, that these new timelines, these new situations, we are creating it. So that is what a visioneer is.
Amazing. And you touched on something very important. Another fear that many people has is, I don't want to do anything with spirit because I'm scared to death. I'm scared to death that I'm going to be take over and so on.
Oh, I was there.
Let me explain something to you. That's how it happened. The law of free will is the most important law of the universe. And that's true. There will be some low vibrational and energies, let's call energies for not scare people, that if you are depressed, if you are in hate and resentment, they may come together and come along with you. They want to be fun. But when you are in a high vibration, you're going to attract beings of high vibration. Mm-hmm. And what happened to you is the decision needed to be yours. They could have just told you, Bridgitte, let's write a book. But
Right.
no, they wanted you to get the idea through intuition, to be your idea, to go through your decision process and play out your free will.
Mm-hmm.
And then even when that happened, you still have completely free will to say, I'm not going to do it.
Right.
And you're not going to be punished for it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You probably feel there is something missing. I think I want to do it. Because when you decided to do something, it's just natural that when your higher self decided and your soul decided that's part of your path, that you decided that for a reason, and then it won't go away easily. So you constantly thinking and you want to do.
Right. That makes so much. Yeah. Yeah. I totally agree because I know, like I had been connecting with spirit for a while and I've been meditating for a while and I didn't refer to it as automatic writing, but like I said, writing it down. And because I was studying the course, I know, that I'm connected to highly evolved, high frequency beings. So it wasn't that. It was more so there was just so much self-doubt. Like, can I do this? But can I do it clearly? And what are other people? But there's all this stuff that goes through. So it wasn't just when you do this work, it's not just channeling the book. Like you channel the book, yes, but you are moving through a lot through your journey of healing. You're integrating a lot, during that time because the person that I am now, the way I feel now, is so different than how I felt when I channeled the book. Like I was just like, okay, I guess I'll channel it, but they'll just do their thing and I'll stay in the background. There was all this concern about like how it would be received. And I don't feel that way at all, but I had to go through this process of, like not doubting myself, of letting go of the fear and just understanding that when you do spiritual work, when you are actively on a spiritual journey, you are going to be uncomfortable. There is no way to avoid that because you're stepping outside of your comfort zone. Yeah. You are healing those aspects of yourself that keep you small and limited, and it can really be a lot to process. So the time that events take to unfold sometimes are a little longer than we'd like. Anytime you have a book, you're like, oh, I want it published right now. But you might need time to process what's happening, and I definitely did. So it was truly a fascinating journey, to say the least, but I love it. And the last thing I'll say is this is so perfect. Even though I had, all this fear around it, I did it. It's like I took the steps even with my knees shaking because I love books. This is so a part of my blueprint. I love books, and channeled books have been pivotal in helping me to understand this earthbound journey that I'm on and, cultivate like different ideas and perspective. I love, highly evolved channel material. So it's just so perfect that this is what is mine to do. So I'm just working through my limitations while I'm doing it.
That's really amazing. Thank you for sharing this so open. Now I would like to ask you why you chose Mind Sherpa.
Oh, okay. So I did not choose Mind Sherpa. My guides and teachers, and I would say my higher self, chose Mind Sherpa. Because once I first channeled it, I did do some, I do the typical thing you do. Oh, okay, I'm going to write a proposal and I'm going to get it published. But I had so much pushback, and I know that I had pushback because I wasn't ready, and I projected it onto publishers outside of me.
Mind Sherpa wasn't ready, and they hold on you to allow Mind Sherpa to be ready for you.
Exactly. exactly. But there was all this stuff, me trying to push my timetable and my outcome, even though I clearly was not ready because I was seeing it and the response and the way things were happening. And so finally I just said, okay. And my guides and teachers had told me a couple of times, like, you don't have to worry about this. We will take care of it. But, the ego, I'm like, oh no, I got to get this done. So finally I got to a place of surrender. And then time passed, and you had put a post up in Carol's community that you were going to do a Reiki event. And I was like, well, I'm not going to do that because I'm already doing my healing touch stuff. I don't really need that. Like, And so I was standing at the kitchen sink and I just couldn't get you out of my mind. So I know fully how spirit speaks to me. That's how they speak to me. I cannot get whatever it is out of mind until I take action on it. So I said, oh, okay, I'll sign up for Eleanor's Reiki program. And that was pretty profound in and of itself. I had some unexpected healing occur that I was not expecting. And so after that was over, weeks had passed. And then one morning I woke up into I felt and heard Mind Sherpa. It was just in my awareness. Obviously you don't wake up thinking. I opened my eyes and it was just laying on me. And so I was like, oh, okay, this is who my guides and teachers want me to contact about the book. So I sent you the email, and I had no attachment to the outcome because I studied the course. I just trusted whatever to happen happened, and here we are.
Amazing. We are really, really glad that you said yes, because as I told your teachers and guides, they chose, but you still have the ability to say no.
You absolutely do, because I was thinking about that earlier this week, so many things that I do now that I love that I could not have ever orchestrated. It's because I kept saying yes, even though there was well, how do I do this? I know I want to do it. I feel excited, but how? Just saying yes.
Yes, and really don't worry about the how. Let the how with them, because they are really good on that. Trust me.
Aren't they? Oh my gosh.
They are. So now let's dive in a little bit more into the book. So what it means to be a visioneer?
So a visioneer, if you think about the word pioneer, a pioneer, they're on the forefront of something, something new, something emerging. And so visioneer, it's in that vein. But the word vision is because we all have visions for our personal lives, for the communities around us, and for the world at large. We all have these internal impulses that we want to create, that we feel want to come through us. And the visioneer is one who acknowledges that. You feel this call, this guidance to be, do, have, or experience something. We can have our ego get in the way and block that. Limited thinking can block all of that. But you feel the guidance, you feel the push of something more expansive, something love-based, something that is a beneficial service to the planet, to yourself as well, that wants to come through you. So the visioneer is one who gets into a place of heart connection with their own heart and also with their spirit to take action and to follow guidance for the vision to emerge through you. Now, it's not necessarily going to be that you have this idea of your vision all in one. It might be that you take one step at a time. I like to say baby steps, and the vision starts to form. It starts to coalesce because we're given action steps at a pace that we can handle and a pace that we can act upon. But then if you get into a space of trusting guidance that comes through you, through your heart space, through your intuition, through your knowing, you will be guided in the highest way to take every action that you need to take, to have every conversation that you need to do, to follow the guidance that comes through through a dream, to, I'll use the word manifest, to create to cultivate the birthing of whatever it is that is trying to come through you, because we all have something that we came to contribute, a purpose that we are supposed to fulfill. I know that my purpose is to contribute light-filled information to help people to connect with their heart. And that can be through the form of books. It could be through my presence, through my speaking, any way. But my purpose is light-filled information shared. And books happen to be a means through which I love that. And it's also for me now reading the Akashic Records and doing healing touch. All of that is a part of the vision, my vision.
Yes, that's really amazing. I read your book and I was impressed with how the Ra Collective Trio put it together such a complex concept in a very, very simple and digestible way. So it's really a guide that you're going to take by your hand to really activate that part of yourself that's already there. It's not that you need to gain something new, that you need to go and become somebody else. No, it's about really letting go of what doesn't serve you, of the layers of the onion, to access the light that's already in you. And another thing that I was impressed is I found that there are so many concepts that for me to organize in my mind, there was a collection of at least 100 books that I read throughout 20 years. And it's really a book that's worth to read. It's very simple, and every time that you're gonna read it, and then you always get a little more. I like to think that's like a multidimensional book. You're gonna get according to the level, to the vibration you are, you expand a little more. And then when you come back again, you're already in a higher vibration, so you expand a little more.
Yes, that was a really good explanation, Eleanor. It is, because it's not anything that, it like, let me show you all of this. Yes, there are some exercises toward the end of the book for how to create an aspect, but it really is, it's like a reminder. It's to help stimulate a remembrance of who and what we really are. And as we move into this time, I just keep getting from my guides and teachers that we are in the time of the heart, and that the heart is what is going to lead. Of course, there's a place for the intellect, but it's like we're being compelled to move more from the head to the heart, to pay attention to the heart and what it wants to create, what is ours to create. So it is literally a handbook for how we are miscreating and how we can consciously create what is ours to do, and how to do that, how to connect with what's already in you. It could be referred to as something that is dormant in you, something that has not been activated, and how to activate what's ready to express.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
That's very must read a book. I already read, and I know I'm going to read many other times. And sometimes you read a very interesting book that you really get a lot from it. But then you think, okay, what I do with that? How can I implement that in my life? And I think the part where you describe the aspects on the book is that how I integrate that knowledge now into my life. Can you explain more about the aspects?
Sure, because we are multifaceted beings, which means that there are many parts of us. And we might think, oh, it's just the way I am. That's just my personality. That's just the way I view things. But they're actually aspects. And what aspects are, they could be purely energetic, purely just something purely non-physical, but sometimes they're from other lifetimes and other incarnations, and they absolutely affect and impact our lives and sometimes drive our lives. So I would say before I became aware of aspects, like, a couple of years ago, there was an aspect of me, like every time I wanted to do something, to create something, one of the first predominant thoughts in my mind is, oh, but I can't because of this. This is the problem. This is the problem. There was a very prominent aspect in my consciousness that was always looking at what was wrong, what was the problem. So when you are, and if you're not aware of that, it's like that is the unconscious miscreation that you're allowing to take place. You're just unaware of what it actually is. So when you and these aspects, I'll say they're often hidden from us because they could be like deeply in our subconscious, and because we haven't been taught about them, we're just unaware of them. They're not all negative. They can be both positive, meaning that they are evolved, love-based aspects, and they can be negative, meaning they're uninvolved and there's a lack of love there. So that aspect that I described was an unevolved aspect that I had to first look at by becoming aware of, and then do the integration, meaning accepting that part of myself and welcoming it into my heart. So after I went through that process, I would notice it was very weak, like that thought of the idea of looking at what was wrong or why I couldn't do this. The energy around it felt very weak. But like, as you said, our free will is everything in this realm. So I could have used my free will to start putting more energy into that aspect and strengthening it, giving it prominence again. But that's not what I did. So an aspect can express as a personality trait, an addiction. It could come through in dreams. I do see a lot of my aspects in dreams. It could be another being. It could be a problem where the aspect just needs to be healed and integrated so that the problem can dissolve. It really is like, there really is no limitation in what they can be and how they express. And my guides and teachers told me that sometimes they will drop an aspect into our awareness, into our consciousness that is in alignment with our blueprint, with our free will. And that may feel like, gosh, I'm curious about that and I don't know why, but it speaks to me. It really resonates. So my guides taught me how to create a benevolent aspect, a positive aspect, using my imagination. And what you do to do that, the book goes into detail about this, of how to create aspects for yourselves and even other people, by feeling into what it is that you want to experience and create and holding that. And that could be described as visualizing. But the difference is that you are stating out loud that you want to consciously create an aspect, let's say, that travels with no concern for money. That's how aspects were introduced to me through Carol Morgan, who wrote the foreword to the book. So there's a lot that you can do with it. And what is evolving for me, earlier you asked about the evolutionary journey, is because I'm seeing so many aspects in my dreams, and it is intuitively imparted to me that this is something to do within the Akashic records, because I read the Akashic records now, so that we can go into the person's records to connect with that aspect that is, let's say, expressing in a negative way. Maybe there's a lot of anger, maybe there's gluttony, maybe there's self-doubt. We can look at that aspect for integration. I don't know, I just feel like there's so much, we have so much support from the non-physical, so much support, from our guides and teachers, from the angelic and Christic realm. There's so much support. And the Visioneers Handbook is a tool for support. It is a tool to assist us to move through the ascension, and for those people who are wanting to know truth, and it is for those people who are looking for something new and perhaps don't know what it is or where it is, but they They know something is off. They know they want to connect with their heart and what tries to come through them, but they don't know where to start. The Visioneers Handbook is the book for that.
And it will be available very, very soon. It is ready. It's get out of the oven yesterday, but it's already. Let me show. Actually, I'm gonna show a straight website. Let me just. I have the honor to announce that the Visioneers Handbook will be part of the Conscious Life Expo 2026. It's one of the nominees, and you will be able to vote for it through the Awakening Path, my website. You can vote. The vote will be from December 1st to January 31st. So you're gonna give here on the website. I also gonna leave the ways that you can go and buy the book. Right now it's not available yet, but it will be at Mind Sherpa. And if you want to learn more about what you're gonna do in the Conscious Life Expo, just come here and visit us. We have another book that's also a nominee. And I'm very, very excited for this event and also for all the changes that this book will promote in people's life. And I really want to thank you to step up and have the courage to say yes and say, yes, I'm going to write a book. Send it.
Well, thank you. And I'm grateful too. Like I'm really grateful. I'm thankful that I said yes too. Because it's been, not always easy, but it's been a nice journey to just I don't know, to where I am now. So I'm really happy to share it with people. I know that they'll get something out of it and that it's beneficial. So I'm just so grateful to do this work and to be a part of it, to contribute something in this way. And I love that book cover so much. So thank you.
Yes, I'll just leave here a little bit. So when people see, oh, I know that book. But I can get it. I want to put my hands on it now. So it will be available soon. About next week, we're gonna let you guys know where to get it. For now, I know from mindsherpabooks.com, you will be able to track where you can buy the physical copy of the book. And over there, you can buy the ebook. And you also have another book. Let's talk a little bit about the first book.
Crisis.
Yes, let me just put on the screen and then you can tell us a little bit about this book, how it came to you.
So this book is definitely evergreen. It talks about how I use meditation to go from financial failure to a life of purpose. Because as I mentioned earlier, once I stepped onto the spiritual path, it was because my husband almost had a stroke at 33 years old, and he was our primary source of income, and it just sent our life into a downward spiral. But the situation reflected so much to us about ourselves that was like those unevolved aspects that were masquerading all over the place. So as I said, I started meditating because we had so very little money, but what I had was my love for reading. So I would go to the library and, literally run my hands over the shelves to see which spiritual self-help books stood out to me. And I would just read and read and read. And the common theme throughout many of the books was meditation and asking for guidance. So I started sitting in our bed in the middle of the night after the kids were asleep and he went to sleep. And I would just meditate. And after some time, I started asking for guidance and felt like a very loving response, like a very light and loving energy come down toward the left side of my head. So I just took a notepad, and just scribbled down what came through. And the next day, after I dropped the kids off at school, I would write it over neatly. And so I did that for like solidly for a year. And it's still my practice now. I just type it out. So I set the notebooks aside and just kind of went on with my life. We ended up moving, and I got a different job, and then I started doing more writing. And then I remembered, because I had an interview with someone that told me that she channeled her book, I remembered I had all these notebooks from what came through, and what came through, what I wrote down in those notebooks, is what turned into this book, The Gift of Crisis. So I had always felt in my life that I would write a book because it was in my blueprint, but I never knew what it would be about or how it would come about. And when we were in the midst of the crisis, I was not thinking, oh, this is the book, but I just did that practice. And then because I was meditating, I start feeling just this impulse, and hearing, you should type up what's in your notebook. And I wrestled with myself a little bit, like, why? What am I going to do? Why am I going to type it up? But it wouldn't go away. So I finally typed it up.
Again.
I finally typed it up. Like that one step, that one action, just say yes. I typed it up. And as soon as I finished typing it up, then I had another impulse, the inspiration from my guides. Oh, maybe you should find a literary agent. So that was just the snowball. And then the book was picked up really fast, and it was published, and it is truly an evergreen book. You can read it at any time and apply like the guidance that came through to your situation. It's timeless. You can open a page and get something for you. So this was like totally the beginning of it all.
I need to read that one, so I will.
The Gift of Crisis. I mean, that's still relevant. Like, there's always a gift if you're willing to, go within and look for it.
I channel a lot the higher self of my clients, and one thing that they tell repeatedly is stop blaming yourself, feeling guilt for that bad decision that took you to a path of so much challenging. Because your soul with us planned that. Because in that crisis, you learned a lot.
Yes.
And you heal so many generational traumas.
Yes.
You heal so many past lives. That was by design, and now we applaud you for have overcome that, and now you are a new version of yourself, more into the light, and you are still blaming yourself for that great thing that you have done. That's what they tell. Because guilt is the main tool of the ego to keep you small. They take a slight little thing to make it so you can make a big thing, and goes around and around and say, I'm the worst person in the world because I have done that.
Yeah.
And that's just not true. It's not how it works.
And if you don't realize that that's what's happening, the guilt, the self-inflicted suffering, you will continue to create that. It'll just keep showing up in various people and circumstances and situations until you see what you're doing and what's there for you to see. So it's like everything serves a purpose. And when you're going through it, does it feel like a gift? Absolutely not. Should you berate yourself about it? Absolutely not. But the situations, the challenges, the people, the annoying people, all of this stuff, everything is there to show you something about yourself.
Yeah.
Everything. But we have to be willing to look.
Yes. And the Visioneers Handbook will help you to put that other lens to see things in a more loving eyes.
Yes.
And really forgive. And I like to say that forgiveness you start with yourself. After you do something good for yourself, it's a way easier to expand to others. And after you peel those layers through forgiveness, and then you can really embrace the love that you really are.
Mm-hmm.
And this book will help you along the way. Bridgitte, it has been a pleasure. I love this conversation. I can't wait to hold your book in my hands. I
Me
want
too.
to meet you again. Then we can discuss even deeper about the book. Thank you for saying yes to Mind Sherpa. And it's really a pleasure to have you and your book with us. What do you have to say to whatever is
Well,
with?
it was a pleasure to work with you. Working with Mind Sherpa was everything that I hoped that it would be, because I really wanted the book to be published by people who understand, what's happening and what it is that we're doing here. Like, this really is about anchoring the light and extending the light and seeing the light. And so I'm just so grateful for the care, the attention to detail, the honoring of my input and my opinion. It was a really nice experience. So I'm just so grateful to share this with everybody. So thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you everyone for watching, and stay tuned because soon you also can have Bridgette's book in your hands. Love and light to all.